from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy, glorious Tuesday to you, my little buddy.
Mr. Krute, can we take this party outside, man?
It should be an outside
It's an outside
recess
day.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
Happy days, Krute. Welcome back, man.
Welcome back from where?
Well, you were gone. You go home to Madison all the time. You come back on the air. This is long days for you, my friend.
What, you going to welcome me every morning at the office? Hey, welcome back, Rudy.
Welcome
Glad
back,
you made it to work today.
Oh, this is my welcome back Cotter, man.
Welcome back.
See?
All right, you sweat hog. Let's talk about this tremendous day of news and this tremendous show we have planned for our fine audience. We're going to do, you know, because the Devils, they always deliver the finest in WalkerBashing. And when in need for a little WalkerBashing, we call our buddy Scot Ross, Executive Director, OneWinOw. He joins us in like 25 minutes. Also, big event. I don't know if you've heard the promos, but a Dem Gubernatorial event this Saturday right here on Resistance Radio. We're going to have the moderator of that event, Dr. Timothy Slekar, Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College. He, of course, hosts Busted Pencils right here on WRRD Saturday mornings, 11 to noon. But this weekend, head-to-head, 3 gubernatorial candidates each hour, 3 effectively, count them, 1, 2, 3 debates, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. You better be there, or you better at least tune it in. But we'll talk with Dr. Tim at 4:06. Also, Dom, a new candidate, a Dem, throws her head into the ring. She's chasing the dragon. Her name, Charisse Daniels.
Now, wait a minute. Chasing the dragon? What?
Charisse Daniels, a Dem, a candidate for Wisconsin's 37th Assembly District. You know, John chasing the dragon Jaguars district. You remember that guy?
Well, yeah, I vaguely remember him making some dumbass comment about what was he referring to?
Smoking opium.
Jeez.
He only made it from the assembly floor, Dom. Why is that unusual?
Oh, good. So he's got some competition.
And he's a former radio guy like yourself.
I'm not a former radio guy.
Oh, you didn't get the memo?
I didn't get the memo. Me and Brian, man, what are we doing?
You're both former radio guys. The new team will be along in any minute.
Good luck.
Until then, we'll keep you around. Also, Dom, you made this booking. I commend you for doing so. A gentleman, Joel Peterson, he is the owner-proprietor of Priceland Hemp. This man opened, is this the guy that opened on 420?
Yes.
Brand new store.
Yep.
And now the Wisconsin Department of Justice basically is what? Telling the man, get out of business.
After significant investment and good revenues the first couple of weeks.
Better than I say about some radio folks. Also, Spencer Black, he's been a friend of this show for some number of years. He is a columnist and former Assembly Dem leader. And we're going to talk fake news with our buddy Spencer in the 5 o'clock hour. I'm talking packed jam show.
Yeah, look at that.
Every
man.
day. How do we even do it?
It's amazing.
This is perhaps the greatest radio show ever with the greatest booking team. Today it was teamwork. You're welcome,
You're
Wisconsin.
welcome, America.
Yeah. So let's get into it, man.
Breaking news, Crudy.
Is it breaking, or did we all see this one coming like an election ago?
Trump announces plan to pull out of Iran nuclear deal despite pleas from European leaders.
If only Fred Trump had pulled out himself.
The Washington Post. The United States will withdraw from the international nuclear deal with Iran and will reinstate economic sanctions against Tehran, President Trump announced Tuesday. Trump's decision announced from the White House follows the failure of last-ditch efforts by Britain, France, and Germany, our allies, to convince him that his concerns about flaws in the accord could be addressed without violating its terms or ending it altogether. Trump said, "We cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement," Trump said in remarks at the White House. Now, we do have some sound of this. Perhaps we should just get it over with.
Let's play the POTUS, hashtag not my POTUS. Donald Trump talking about the Iran nuke deal. He blew it up.
He tore it up. Let's start with cut number 89, please, Brian.
A constructive deal could easily have been struck at the time, but it wasn't. At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a peaceful nuclear energy program. Today, we have definitive proof that this Iranian promise was a lie.
Definitive proof means what? Benjamin Netanyahu with a PowerPoint presentation that says he lied? Iran lied?
I'm not clear.
Is that the definitive proof?
I would think there'd be something else. I don't know. We should know more about this, but this is a kind of a foreign policy thing. I'm not real up to speed on this particular issue.
Iran did get tremendous benefit from signing on to this. They got the removal of sanctions. Billions in Iranian dollars had been sanctioned, had been jammed up in the banks.
Well,
now they got
it was frozen. They got paid that money
access
back
to their capital.
And with interest.
With interest. So it's not like there was nothing in it for Iran to follow along and do the right thing, quote unquote, in this deal. But, more Trump.
Let's hear more of our president, cut 90.
A great embarrassment to me as a citizen and to all citizens of the United States.
Really?
Yeah. Now,
this is what embarrasses you. Why? Because Obama, the black president, signed off on it?
the last guy did it. Now, this is Trump. Now, this is the deal maker, right? Art of the deal. This guy can't even close on a $130,000 non-disclosure agreement with a former porn star.
Doesn't even know how to pay him off properly, Dom.
Let's keep going. Our president being real foreign policy today.
In theory, the so-called Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the lunacy of an Iranian nuclear bomb, a weapon that will only endanger the survival of the Iranian regime. In fact, the deal allowed Iran to continue enriching uranium and, over time, reach the brink of a nuclear breakout.
That's not even true, but please continue.
Let's hear more.
In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
Back to the old pull and pray method of peace negotiations?
Foreign policy negotiations. Cut number 93.
This was a horrible one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will.
Do you think this man even read it or any of the terms thereof? Do you think he even knows what's in this deal?
No, I think he's listening to his walrus appointed foreign policy guy. What's his name?
Bolton?
Bolton, yeah. This sounds like Bolton talking to me.
Someone on the Foxy Friends for sure. Keep going.
A few more.
If I allowed this deal to stand, there would soon be a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Everyone would want their weapons ready by the time Iran had theirs.
But only instead the Israelis get theirs. Benjamin Netanyahu gets his. But the Iranians, they get new sanctions despite no evidence other than Benjamin Netanyahu, the sworn enemy of the Iranians, claiming that they've somehow broken their deal. Well, Donald Trump, aren't you breaking the deal yourself? Haven't you shown our country to be dishonorable and unreliable? Aren't you breaking the deal right now?
He's leading. Let's keep going. 95.
They are going to want to make a new and lasting deal, one that benefits all of Iran and the Iranian people. When they do, I am ready, willing, and able.
When they get ready. See, this is all negotiation tactic, right, Crute? I mean, this is the art of the deal. This is the master of negotiation. And, what about North Korea? He mentions that as well. Next one, please, Brian.
We have our meeting scheduled. We have our meeting set. The location is picked, the time and date, everything is picked. And we look forward to have a very great success. We think relationships are building with North Korea. We'll see how it all works out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
We'll see how it all works out.
I love that maybe it will, maybe it won't diplomacy.
You never know what's going to happen. Depends on if I change my mind. But, Crudy, I mean, if it works with North Korea, perhaps it can work with Iran. And the final cut, talking about these sanctions with Iran.
We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States.
Now, I'd like to jump into the Associated Press's reporting of what's actually in the deal. Give and take. At its heart, the 2015 deal imposes restrictions on Iran's nuclear program that make it impossible for Iran to produce a bomb in return for lifting most of the U.S. and international sanctions against it. But the accord has a series of time limits. Under its terms, Iran can maintain a stockpile of 300 kilograms, about 661 pounds, the combined weight of Brian and myself, of low-enriched uranium compared to the 100,000 kilograms of higher-enriched uranium it once had. They gave back 100,000 kilograms to maintain 300 kilograms of low-grade. I read on. Iran can only enrich uranium to 3.67%, which can be used to fuel a reactor, but is far below the 90% needed to produce a weapon. The deal also limited the number of centrifuges Iran can run and restricted it to older, slower model. Iran also reconfigured a heavy water reactor so it couldn't produce plutonium and agreed to convert its Fordo enrichment site dug deep into a mountainside into a research center. It granted more access to the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors and set up a system that allows the UN watchdog to inspect other sites. All bad things, Dom. Finally, in exchange, world powers lifted the crippling economic sanctions that had locked Iran out of international banking and global oil trade. It allowed Iran to make purchases of commercial aircraft and reach other business deals. It also unfroze billions of dollars Iran had overseas. However, the deal does not directly stop Iran from testing or firing ballistic missiles. It also has a series of rolling expiration dates. In 8.5 years, for example, Iran can start testing up to 30 more advanced centrifuges, a number it could greatly expand 2 years later. 15 years after the deal restrictions on Iran's uranium enrichment and stockpile size end. So, let's get ahead of this 15-year deadline. Let's tear it up now. And what? Allow them to reconstitute their nuke program right now.
Well, isn't that ultimately
why would they not do that?
Why would they wait?
I feel like we're being lied into a war right now. This reminds me a lot of George W. Bush. Weapons of mass destruction predicated on a lie. We start a war, 6 days, 6 weeks, I doubt 6 months. We're still freaking there. And here we are tearing up deals, a prelude to war under false pretense, because other than Benjamin Netanyahu, I've seen no one even claiming, this side of Fox News, that Iran has defaulted on this deal in any way, shape, or form. It's a big lie. Come back with us. We never lie. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
At that speed, would be able to pull out in time?
Be best.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
The Devil's Advocates.
Major Wisconsin media, they have wrapped our state in a propaganda machine. They push the Wisconsin Walker agenda. That's what is happening. So we have to break that. And it's going to be a lot of work, but thank God we have 1510 there to help.
Jake, thank you so much. It's going to take more than just 1510. It's going to take people like you and all you listeners.
Making radio great again.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Everybody buckle up.
Mom.
Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looks so good.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the talk and text line 844-967-2789.
Dominic, our most recent former sane president, Obama, had this to say today: withdraw from Iran nuclear deal, a serious mistake. I quote Brett Samuels at thehill.com. Former President Obama on Tuesday called President Trump's decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear agreement misguided and a serious mistake. Here's the quote. Without the JCPOA, the United States could eventually be left with a losing choice between a nuclear-armed Iran or another war in the Middle East, Obama said in a statement referring to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. If the constraints of the Iran nuclear program under the JCPOA are lost, we could be hastening the day when we are faced with the choice between living with that threat or going to war to prevent it, he added. Trump announced Tuesday he was withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal, which represented Obama's signature foreign policy achievement. You think that's the motive? I think that's the entire motive.
Yes, that's
the
part of it.
2015 agreement between Iran, the U.S., Germany, France, the United Kingdom, China, Russia, and the European Union provided sanctions relief to Tehran in exchange for curbing its nuclear program. Obama expressed concern that withdrawing from the agreement could hurt the U.S. standing with its world allies, something Trump doesn't give a damn about.
Not one bit.
European leaders have already said they intend to honor the agreement without the U.S. Trump long railed against the agreement, calling it terrible and the worst ever. His past comments made Tuesday's move largely unsurprising. The fact is that this horrible one-sided deal that should never have been made, it didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will, Trump said Tuesday, because of course he destroyed it. Ripped it up.
Didn't bring peace. I mean, as far as I know, there's no express outward war with Iran right now, right? So every day that we go by without them getting a nuclear weapon is a good day. And I'm not clear that this action by Trump didn't encourage the Iranians, especially those the more hardline ones, to say, well, we can't trust the West.
Well, the moderate Rouhani that negotiated the deal, the moderate president of Iran, well, if you undermine him, you're basically strengthening the hardliners.
This is a regime change. Didn't Trump say it the other day? And he's got Bolton on his backside, so this is all Bush all over again.
He concluded that the agreement, talking about Obama, was never intended to solve all of the problems with Iran, that pulling out of the deal hurts future negotiations because of these facts. I believe the decision to put the JCPOA at risk without any Iranian violation of the deal is a serious mistake. You're talking about the sunset clause. Obama said there's little reason to put those restrictions at risk today because it's not going to happen for 15 years. Hell, we got many guests between now and then. Scot Ross, Executive Director, WalkerBashing, is next. WalkerBashing to commence now.
What's been going on while I've been gone?
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m., Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. For the first time in the history of the NBA, a female coach will interview for a head coaching position. Becky Hammon, who is currently an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs, will visit Milwaukee this week to interview for the head coaching position with the Milwaukee Bucks. Hammon played for the WNBA for 16 years. She was the first full-time female assistant coach in one of the 4 major American professional sports leagues when she joined the Spurs in 2014. And the Indians are in town tonight to start a 2-game interleague series with the Brewers at Miller Park. Outside this afternoon, sunshine, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Rain likely tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s. And for Thursday, partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott WalkerBashing. Hashtag WalkerBashing.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We've welcomed back a fine guest and a friend of ours. He's Scot Ross, Executive Director, WalkerBashing. Scott, welcome.
What's happening, gang?
Hey, Scott.
Hey, man, you got time for a little Walker bashing today?
I consider it to be the hard positive rather than bashing.
Hard positive. Well, I'm positive Scott Walker donors are going to benefit from this Foxconn deal. Your group put out a press release today. Who's getting all these no-bid contracts to bid Foxconn, Scott?
What we found was in just a cursory, going through the CEOs and the partners of the spouses. Of the CEOs, we found that about $359,000 in contributions had been made by the companies that got these subcontracts to the campaign of one Governor Scott Kevin Walker.
And Scott Ross, we would have no indication whatsoever if, let's say, Foxconn was writing checks to independent third-party groups or, CEOs or members thereof. We have no idea if money is being funneled to Scott Walker in a, coordinated campaign effort. But we do know about this, right, Scott?
Absolutely. And I think, I think it's just a testament to exactly what we've come to expect from Walker, because Walker actually got asked about this. When he was at the thing in Racine yesterday, one of the reporters from, I believe, from Fox 6 News asked him about it. And Walker's response was, I'd be shocked if there wasn't any company that was involved in construction that hasn't supported me, because I've done more to build the state in the last 7 or 8 years than just about any governor in the past. That is a direct quote from Scott Walker. Wow. That he would be shocked if these companies weren't donors to him.
Well, every smart businessman in the state of Wisconsin has bought themselves this governor. Let's talk about prior practice WEDC. This is not the first time the governor has sort of handed out some grandiose back to those that would support his campaign, is it, Scott?
No, absolutely not. I mean, one of the first things that Scott Walker did way back in 2011, even before Act 10, was he privatized the Commerce Department, created the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, also known as WEDC. And we did an analysis back in 2014 of all the grants. Like, we literally went through every single grant that was doled out by WEDC, and what we found at that time was that 60% of the awards that were given, your tax dollars, my tax dollars, our tax dollars, were given, 60% of those awards were given to businesses and owners who had donated to Scott Walker's campaigns. And they had donated sizable sums. I believe it was over $2 million.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Scot Ross, Executive Director from One Wisconsin Now, joins us on the phone. Scott is not just our crooked governor. We also have an Attorney General, another piece that piqued my interest from your organization today. Brad Schimmel, appearance at a homophobic alliance defending freedom conference, the ADF. Scott, isn't that a hate group?
They're absolutely a hate group. And, it's funny because I remember dealing with those sleaze merchants when I worked in the Attorney General's office way back in 2005. I remember because there was the gay marriage amendment, anti-gay marriage amendment was coming up, and I remember fighting with them, with the late Attorney General Peg Lautenschlager about that very group, and it's incredible homophobia. Yeah, but for Brad Schimmel, man, he'll do anything. He'll do anything for a buck, and he is an extremist. He has sued numerous times on horrible things, attacking the right to choose. He's tried to be the potty police in terms of policing our children's bathrooms, and gone to court, federal lawsuits on this. And yes, lo and behold, in his statement of economic interest, he has a listing at the top that says ADF. And that he got $3,800 from them in terms of travel and expenses, and then a $300 check from them in honoraria. What he didn't say was that they're the Alliance for Defending Freedom, which is, again, classified by the Southern Poverty Law Center as an actual hate group. And our Attorney General is willing to go out there. It's interesting because at the time, it appears that this is an event that was happening. Because I just want to ask you guys, when's the last time you were on a $3,800 one-person trip?
Right. Never.
Does that include bar tab?
Okay, maybe last year.
I mean, an ex of mine and I used to go to Mexico every year, and all-inclusive for the two of us.
Yeah.
Was $3,800. So, what it turns out that it looks like this was held at Dana Point, a resort in Dana Point, perhaps at the Regis, which has been a long time a haven for the Koch brothers, where they have when they bring folks out. This is also an event that the Attorney General Jeff Sessions to do my what's that guy, Chuck Grassley imitation, but. He was there. Sessions was at it, and they refused to release what Sessions said to the media.
Course.
Then finally, and it turns out finally he was like telling them, "Hey, here's what we're going to be doing to help out your anti-gay cause." So we have demanded. Now that this story is out there, we are absolutely 100% demanding that Brad Schimmel release all of the records related to this trip. We want a copy of what he said. If there's video of his remarks, we want that. We deserve that. And we hope that he will return, the honoraria at the very least. They put a check in his pocket, and he needs to return that check.
Well, we know Attorney General Brad Schimmel is not fond of releasing records that may, shine a light on his actions. But I got to ask you, of course, Attorney General has an election coming up. Democrat Josh Kaul was quoted in the AP article saying that, the Attorney General should be fighting for all Wisconsinites and that this group is an anti-gay group. And Schimmel's campaign manager shot back, saying Kaul should spend more time learning about the job he's seeking than hiding behind attacks on an organization that works to preserve fundamental freedoms of speech, religion, and conscience of all Americans. Now, Scott,
as long as you're not gay.
This is kind of my question. Isn't this kind of normalizing this behavior and hiding behind religion and freedom in order to do so?
Absolutely. In the movie version of this interview, I got up and threw a coffee cup across the room and shouted an obscenity because it was so outrageous what Schimmel's campaign manager had to say. And I think that what's really disgraceful is you got to remember Brad Schimmel. This is a guy who said back in 2014, remember this, that he would defend miscegenation laws, anti-miscegenation laws. Were they still on the books?
You're talking about that fine appearance on the Oshkosh Eye cable access, Scott?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I mean, this is a guy who is willing to say and do anything. I mean, it's like he's the perfect attorney general for Scott Walker because he's willing to do and say anything to try and win an election. And this is a great example of it. America and Wisconsin have evolved. This sort of hate, the sort of gay bashing that that is unacceptable, that's always been unacceptable, has in a lot of ways steps have been taken to stop it. But when we have the state's top cop going to a conference and celebrating these folks and refusing, so far to release the records related to it, I think there are huge questions, and I think it doesn't bode well for Schimmel because, like I said, we've evolved as a people, and you basically you start talking anti-gay stuff, you lose the millennials right off the bat.
Well, my understanding, Scot Ross, is this conversation held with the ADF conference attendees was supposed to be on states' rights. Isn't states' rights effectively code for any sort of racist, homophobic behavior that Republicans would like to codify in their states?
I think you have said everything accurately and as well as it could be said. That is absolutely correct.
Scott, I got to ask you, I saw a differing headline today. Brad Schimmel thinks he needs a little more money to go finally do his job and perhaps test some rape kits in the state of Wisconsin after being charged. And when I say charged, I was at a speaking event, saw Josh Call on Sunday. Call said after the first millions rolled in, I believe in his first year, he got 9 rape kits tested. We've still got a multi-year backlog. I mean, Brad Schimmel's been the attorney general going on 4 years. What's he been doing other than buying swag, kicking ass every day? What's the man been doing to actually solve crimes?
No, nothing really. I mean, let's look at this guy again. We've talked a lot about his sort of radical social agenda. Let's talk about what he's supposed to be doing, which is making sure that our streets are safe, making sure that when kids go to the crime lab that they're taken care of, and that has not been the case. And like you point out, Schimmel's spent over $80,000 on swag, including for those things like those coins. We found in our records he did things like, for instance, take $1,000 of internet crimes against children settlement money and spend it on Jelly Belly. Things like that.
Jelly Bellies,
candy?
Mean,
think about that. Crime-fighting jelly beans. And it's just, it's top to bottom, the guy just can't do his job. And people are suffering. I mean, there was the horrible story about the Schiller case that happened where a guy who was out, still on the streets because the tests weren't back from the lab, and he literally ran over a Good Samaritan who was helping somebody change a flat tire on the side of the road on the interstate. This is somebody who should have been in prison. No. Judge says he would have been in prison if we'd had the test back. And so those kinds of things are, they're just, it's unspeakable. And meanwhile, we've got a guy like Brad Schimmel who does all of these political things, who is willing to sue all the time. We created a $1 million a year Solicitor General's position, basically so that they can go and sue the federal government on behalf of the polluters for Brad Schimmel's campaign donors, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, he's just unwilling to do what he needs to do, which is he is in charge of, he's the state's top cop, and he needs to act like it.
Well, Brad Schimmel went on a righty-whitey talk radio product, far inferior to this one, Scott, and went through an alphabet of agencies under Obama he had sued. Now it comes time to stand up for what? Air pollution, maybe the water rights of Wisconsinites. I mean, we got a big foreign corporation that wants to dump 700 700 tons?
7 million. They want to drink our milkshake, 7 million gallons a day.
Well, I meant the air pollutants, and that's on top of the water and the pollutants.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's so much.
But, I mean, it's like, why is this Attorney General allowing a foreign corporation to run roughshod over the Wisconsin Constitution? And quite frankly, even Republicans drink water, don't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, again, it is a testament to he is in the pocket of his donors. Let us not forget, the NRA, the second day that Brad Schimmel was in office, the NRA endorsed Brad Schimmel. The second day he was in office, he threw his doors open, according to his calendar, threw his doors open to the lobbyist for the NRA. This is a guy who talks about the opioid crisis all over the state of Wisconsin. He is literally the only state elected official or candidate in the history of Wisconsin to take a political action committee check from Purdue Pharma, which is the number one distributor of opioids in America, and it is often called the opioid cartel kingpins. You know, that is the way it is with Brad Schimmel. Brad Schimmel is a political hack. He does not care about the safety of the people of Wisconsin. He only cares about making sure he gets reelected.
Scott, one more quick question before we run out of time. You talk about the grandiose checks accepted by Schimmel from the pharmaceutical industry. The state of Wisconsin's not suing the pharmaceutical industry like Milwaukee County and other municipalities might be. Why do you think that is, Scott? Any correlation to the checks cashed?
Yeah, I mean, over 2/3 of counties in the state of Wisconsin have sued opioid manufacturers because Brad Schimmel, who took money from Purdue Pharma, and Scott Walker, who took a $10,000 check from the now dead founder of Purdue Pharma, Mort Sackler. That's why. It's the simple, it's the money thing. They are in the pocket. They're not only are both of those guys in the pocket of Big Pharma, but the Republican Governors Association, which has spent $10 million for Scott Walker in his previous elections and has already pledged $5 million and put it down for television ads. Its biggest donor, amongst its top 3 donors, is Pharma. The same with the Republican Association, the Republican Attorneys General Association. Their big donors are huge Big Pharma, and they've already run ads going after Josh Kaul, for instance.
Okay, Scott, that leads me to my last question, which is the Department of Justice under Brad Schimmel this week issued some sort of legal memorandum effectively saying possession or manufacture of CBD oil is illegal in the state of Wisconsin. Scott, I watched the governor sign a piece of legislation into law. I believe it was unanimous in the Assembly when they passed the industrial hemp law. Why is the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin pushing back on an entire industry? And in fact, this life-saving anti-seizure medication, is it simply his relationship with Big Pharma? I mean, this guy is just making up some ridiculous lies about the marijuana industry and quite frankly, about CBD. Any opinions you have to offer on this topic, Scott?
No, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Brad Schimmel is threatening criminal sanctions for a Wisconsin farmer for manufacturing CBD oil or a parent using it to help treat their child's seizures. But yet to this day, he refuses to go to court to hold accountable the manufacturers behind the opioid crisis. And he's doing it because the big drug companies get he wants to give them a pass because they are contributors. Cold, hard campaign cash is the reason he's doing this.
Scot Ross calls for speculation. Is Brad Schimmel an intelligent man, or is he a marionette? Effectively, is he a political tool?
I'd say this: he's smart enough to know what side of the campaign ledger his bread is buttered on. That's for sure.
Scot Ross, always a bright man, a great guest, a friend of ours. Scot Ross, Executive Director, Wisconsin. Thanks for a little Walker and Schimmel bashing. Just a taste to get us started for the day.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scot Ross. I fully intend to do more Walker bashing and maybe even a little more Schimmel bashing. Come back with us. Your opinions, your bashing. Welcome here at 844-967-2789.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
What would you say you do here?
I drink your milkshake.
I don't even know my own website address.
Stop crying, you sniveling ass.
I'm Mike Crute. Once elected governor of the great state of Wisconsin, I intend to legalize marijuana. Legalization will create $200 million in new annual tax revenues to be applied to opioid treatment and tech school education. Medical professionals like Dr. Sanjay Gupta say marijuana legalization would reduce opioid overdoses and help treat addicts, help move Wisconsin forward with legalization, taxation, and regulation. Good people do smoke marijuana. Paid for by Crute for Wisconsin. Find us at cruteforwisconsin.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
For too long now, Wisconsin's education policy seems to have had that the teacher had to step out for a minute vibe. Educators Amplified is back in session this Saturday. Join us for Educators Amplified, the gubernatorial edition. Where will our next governor stand on teacher demoralization, standardized testing, vouchers and charters, standards and licensing? These questions will be answered this Saturday from noon to 3 at the Miramar Theater. Come join us live, 2884 North Oakland Ave, or listen right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio. Educators Amplified, Gubernatorial Edition, brought to you by Busted Pencils Radio, The Earl Ingram Show, Schools and Communities United, WEAC Region 7, Citizens Action, AFT Local 212. So if you're tired of education in this state having that the teacher will be back in a minute vibe, take action this Saturday. Educators Amplified, right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. The phone line open, 844-967-2789.
Let's get to it. Jake from Milwaukee, you're first today. Welcome, Jake. What do you got for us?
Hi. Yeah, is it too harsh to call Brad Schimmel a sniveling scumbag for his masters? I mean, listen, this guy is taking campaign cash from opioid companies, some of the biggest ones, and letting people die in this state for money.
Well, and it's
terrible.
He would rather claim that 1 in 6 people that try marijuana get addicted. He'd rather let rape kits back up rather buy swag and go out to hate groups and give honorarium-fueled speeches. He's a busy man, Jake.
So is it too harsh to say that Brad Schimmel protects rapists? Because he is spending more time making gold coins and trying to be a politician to get money rather than doing the job of enforcing the law.
I think that is a little too harsh. I think he just fails to prosecute rapists.
And, of course, he also fails to take into account any issues with the air here. That's why we have Illinois attorney generals suing the EPA over the Foxconn deal and not Brad Schimmel. Let's get another call in. Pizza Box Mike, it's you. Thanks, man. What do you got today?
Yeah, man, I think we need a new attorney general because we haven't had one, first of all, for going on 8 years. But, yeah, we could use one that kicks ass every day for the state of Wisconsin instead of against it. He looks more like a combination of a Spicer Pruitt kind of character, sweaty upper lip, no spine. I did him in public in front of people. It's fun. And it's pretty easy because he doesn't really know that much. But you know what? First thing our attorney general should do when they come in is break that damn deal with Foxconn because it violates our Constitution and our nature and everything else. Suck on that lemon, Walker.
Yeah, suck those lemons, Walker.
Thank you, Pizza Box Mike.
Now, Josh Call, again, I mentioned, I saw him speak on Sunday. As he pointed out, Foxconn might try to break that deal with us in various ways. You also need an attorney general to stand up for us Wisconsinites, those of us that are on the hook for the next 25 years or more to fund this foreign corporation.
It'll be more.
No upside, as near as I can tell, to the great state of Wisconsin. I mean, what a sweet deal these Republicans made for us. All of us, including you conservatives. I hope you enjoy the Foxconn deal. Come back. Hope the asthma doesn't act up. We'll come back with Dr. Tim Slekar talking about Gubernatorial Educators Amplified.
I don't have a lot of expertise. I don't even know my own website address.
But we have people that are stupid.
I'm sorry that discussion.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crude special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slekar.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Special report. Trump rescinds Iran deal. The president made it official.
The United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
That's led to a worldwide round of mostly condemnation. Europe's top leaders are expressing dismay. Russia says it's deeply disappointed. And it could grow worse, according to correspondent Barbara Starr at the Pentagon.
There is growing concern that Iran could be preparing for some sort of attack against Israel. This comes amid all of this escalating tension between the U.S., Iran, and Israel.
And there's a report that Israeli jets have attacked Syrian army positions outside Damascus. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has applauded the move by President Trump. Wall Street didn't do much of anything. The Dow up just 4 points, but oil felt the pain, falling by as much as 4% for a time after the announcement. West Texas Intermediate crude closed down about 2.5%. I'm Rich Johnson. Another diplomatic surprise from President Trump today. He said Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is making another trip to North Korea ahead of his possible summit with Kim Jong-un. The House Oversight Committee is poring over hundreds of pages of documents regarding the travel decisions made by EPA head Scott Pruitt. But not all the documents, according to correspondent Sarah Ganem.
We are learning that one thing that was not turned over was permission required by law for Pruitt to fly first class before each and every trip. The EPA says he had it, but the documents simply do not back it up.
Critics have accused Pruitt of flying first class at government expense and insisting on other safety measures, not because of concerns over personal safety, but to shield himself from tough questions and bad press. It's fairly calm right now around the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, with no magma moving through neighborhoods. Hawaii disaster officials say the latest eruption that destroyed 24 homes is not over. I'm Rich Johnson.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Government weather watchers say the contiguous U.S. saw its coldest April in more than 20 years.
The report from NOAA scientists says, mostly due to overnight low temperatures, it was the 13th coldest April on record and the coldest since 1997. Record and near-record cold stretched from the northern plains to the Gulf Coast and Northeast. Snow cover overall was almost twice what's considered average. Even so, the Southwest was warmer than usual, even chalking up some record highs. Much of the West saw above average temps, and Alaska had its third warmest April ever recorded. I'm Jan Johnson.
The Trump administration's ban on travel to the U.S. by people from 6 majority Muslim countries will not affect those who come to play in or watch the 2026 World Cup should the U.S. win the bid to host the games. That's the promise from the White House to FIFA, soccer's governing body. I'm Rich Johnson.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate, and they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines.
For the first time in the history of the NBA, a female coach will interview for a head coaching position. Becky Hammon, who is currently an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs, will visit Milwaukee this week to interview for the head coaching position with the Milwaukee Bucks. Hammon played for the WNBA for 16 years. She was the first full-time female assistant coach in one of the 4 major American professional sports leagues when she joined the Spurs in 2014. And the Indians are in town tonight to start a 2-game interleague series with the Brewers at Miller Park. Outside this afternoon, sunshine, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Rain likely tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s. And for Thursday, partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we welcome a friend right now, Dr. Tim Slekar, right here from Resistance Radio. He hosts Busted Pencils every Saturday, 11 to 12. And this weekend, he is the moderator of a unique event, Educators Amplified-Gubernatorial Edition. Dr. Tim Slekar, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Well, thank you. I'm surprised you had me back, considering I'm moderating.
Well, it's Teacher Appreciation Day. Who else would we invite if not you,
You're
Tim?
the perfect guest today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you know what? Actually, every teacher out there, we do thank you.
Well, Tim, if you'll indulge me momentarily, I've got a quote from the Democratic Governors Association. It's in regards to Scott Walker. Here's what it says. Teachers deserve respect and appreciation, not just today, but year-round. Yet Governor Scott Walker has actually worked to make life harder for Wisconsin's educators during his time in office. Wisconsin needs a Democratic governor to fight for teachers, their students, and improvements to the state's public schools. Not one who puts education on the chopping block to serve national political special interest. Well, you're the dean of the Edgewood College School of Education. Let me ask you, Tim, has Scott Walker been bad for education?
Oh, my God. Nightmare.
Come on, man. I'm giving you a softball right off the top, Tim.
Come on. You know, let me count the ways. You know, it's yeah, he's been horrendous. You know, all of a sudden now, though, he wants to drop a couple $100 bills on people and says he supports public education after, you know, essentially bankrupting and taking schools like Delavan Darien that are going to lose 40 certified wonderful teachers next year to the fact that they've been defunded so badly. So I don't know, is that good for education to watch students in Delavan Darien lose 40 of their teachers and lose a school? That to me sounds like a really crappy governor.
Now, Delavan Dairy, they had an opportunity, the community, and that's where Scott Walker's from, Delavan, but that community had an opportunity by referendum to apparently perhaps better some athletic fields and perhaps keep their elementary school open. The referendum failed. The people felt a little misinformed, but why are we on the brink of closing elementary schools anyways? Why are we keeping our schools open by referendum, Tim?
Well, that you just hit it right there, Mike. Here's the issue. Why in the world do we have to actually vote to tax ourselves to keep our schools open, and then we're cutting deals with Foxconn for billions of dollars, when the reality, and then we're hitting me, the homeowner, people in there, and saying, if you want more money for your schools, well, fine, you tax yourselves. Hey, let's get out of this whole idea. I'm perfectly fine as a public school supporter paying my school taxes, but let's talk about the reality of saying, how should we fund an education system properly in this school? It cannot be reliant solely on real estate taxes, and at some point people are going to say, and sometimes they're misinformed, but let's look at this. We should not be relying on referendum to fund our schools. Our schools should be funded. If we want a referendum, maybe we have a referendum to do other things, but to close a school to vote, the idea that you have to vote to keep a school open, the state itself doesn't recognize that this is a fact, the research shows it, when you close a school, the community itself goes downhill. There's no arguing this. The research is absolutely clear on it. Close a school, community standards drop.
Now, Tim,
why in the world?
If I may interject and ask you, but certainly, populations shift. People come and go. Communities grow up and shrink down. Are you suggesting that we don't close any schools? I mean, there has to be some reaction to the marketplace at some point, right?
Well, as demographics shift, we make changes and we make adjustments, but and I think we have to be real when we talk about funding. And so if we have a 50% population reduction in some area, the idea that we would keep the same amount of, bricks and mortar serving that, it's a question, Dom. It's a good question to say, when do we make those decisions? However, are we making those decisions that way? Are we being forced into making decisions to close based on the fact that we don't have enough money? And the reality is that people are using demographic shifts as an excuse to defund schools.
Now, Tim Slekar, Dr. Tim Slekar, Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College, host of Busted Pencils right here on Resistance Radio's Saturday mornings at 11. Tim, according to the DGA, Scott Walker has defunded the K-12 about $800 million. We know that he's going to do a lot of bragging this election year about putting about $600 million back in. If I understood PolitiFact correctly, there's still a funding gap from when he started till right now, even with this new addition of about $187 million. Tim, I got to ask you, government governance is really about budgeting priorities. Tim, do you think that people understand, or do they think that we're simply throwing money at a problem and we had thrown too much money at this problem and therefore teachers are to be vilified and charged higher premiums? Damn teachers, lazy, they get the summers off. Do you think that this overall equation is understood by the average Wisconsinite? Let's not forget, Scott Walker has won re-election twice.
No, think about what you just said. The fact is that we're still $130+ million, give or take, on one side, but he has defunded. Now, the fact that he's actually put in another $600 million tells you, though, and this is what people need to say, and now it's not really truly the answer, do people understand, but here's what you understand. If he's throwing $600 million back in, he recognizes that, holy crap, if I don't do something that looks like I'm in favor of public schools in this state, I'm done. Because not every time you take a poll, it doesn't matter, you have public school support. And so the idea, Walker's playing politics here. And so if you don't understand the equation and this and that, just understand this. When somebody starts throwing money at public education, they are up for re-election.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is Dr. Timothy Slekar, Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College. He's also going to be moderating Educators Amplified this Saturday, May 12th, noon to 3 p.m. at the Miramar Theater, 2844 North Oakland Avenue. Lots of issues going to be discussed here, Tim. Professional standards licensing, testing and standardization. And here's one, vouchers and charters. And I want to get your take on this. As I grew up in high school, and I went to a private Catholic school. There were no vouchers that my parents took advantage of when I was in high school that I can recall. So this is a somewhat of a new endeavor, certainly statewide, maybe not necessarily here in the Milwaukee area. But the revenues assigned to the voucher schools and the charter schools seem to continually increase, and now there's no caps. And the conservatives and those that support these schools will tell you, well, there's demand for them because people keep enrolling their kids. But Tim, here's what concerns me: is we're not adequately funding, I would submit, our public education required here under our Wisconsin Constitution. How can we adequately fund another school system with the vouchers and charters when we don't have enough money for the one? And what do we do to fix this problem?
Man, you answered a lot of questions in the way you asked that. I mean, the reality is we can't. But the other thing, which you just talked about, why your parents made a choice to send you to a private school, and they used their money to do that. Now, understand that the majority of the choice money that's been set aside, 70% of that money is being used by students who were already enrolled in private schools that are now using this to subsidize their choice to take a private education. Your parents didn't have that option because they saw private education as that was something that they did and they had to pay for it. So the demand for it, well, I guess there's a demand for it because, when I was in a private school paying for it, and now you're saying that, hey, I can take a freebie from the state, stay out of public schools, and keep my private school, I'll gladly go for that. Now, is that a demand? And is that serving populations when you are underfunding the general public education, Don, like you just said? Constitutionally, we're not even meeting our obligations to our regular public schools. The idea that we're going to divert money to private schools, and particularly the fact that we're not going to then put any requirements that certain, there should be limits on income or things like this. Instead, we can just say, hey, if you're in a private school and you want to take advantage of the state voucher program, come and dip in, grab your share of the money, because the public schools, hey, they don't need it. They're doing fine. And so, this is a real heist that people need to understand. And typically, the choice program is always used as, look, we need to give money to parents to allow them to have the ability to take their kids out of failing schools. I always first say, why the hell is their school failing? Because that's a state issue that they've allowed that school to fail. And I also don't know what a failing school really is, except the fact to understand that a failing school is typically an underfunded school. So if you underfund the school, you create a failing school, then you create a choice. It's a game.
Dr. Slekar, as mentioned earlier, today is Teachers' Day, and as the Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College, what's the attitude of the young adults coming in, trying or considering getting into this profession? Where do they see this? What do you tell kids and young adults where this profession will be in 10 or 20 years in the state of Wisconsin?
Wow. You want me to be truthful?
Yeah, absolutely. That's all we do around here, Tim.
It's a tough question. I mean, well, first of all, the numbers tell the story anyway. We have, and this is across the state, we're not any different at Edgewood, but freshmen entering, declaring teaching as a major has dropped down 30-35% across the state at most places. So high school seniors are sitting out there saying, look, there's no way I want to be a teacher. I talk to parents for some of those students who come in and say, you know what, I still want to be a teacher. And I have parents standing right in front of me saying, I'm not supporting this idea, but I told them they can come and talk to you anyway. There's an attitude out there. It's not good to, for the future of teaching when you're going to demean the profession and the fact that people don't want to go into it. I say, though, here's the deal. We're not going to change the profession for the good until we get those people who recognize and understand the passion and the need for why great public schools and great public educators are an absolute necessity. And if you out there are one of those people thinking about the idea of how you change the world, there is still nothing more powerful than a great teacher, and everybody knows that. So if you want to change the way things are, we're not going to change this disaster unless we have great teachers that are going to be out there in front of the students helping make that change. So I would use that to say, you want to change the world, then you better be a teacher.
Tim Slekar, let's talk about this big event Saturday, 12 to 3. It will play out on Resistance Radio, Educators Amplified Gubernatorial Edition. Effectively, you've got 3 debates set up for this Saturday, 1 hour each, head-to-head-to-head. 3 candidates each hour. Tim, I'm excited about the format. I hope the audience is excited to tune in or attend at the Miramar. Again, 12 to 3 this Saturday, May 12th. Give them a little love for the gubernatorial edition of Educators Amplified, Part 4.
What an awesome opportunity to actually get candidates for office to talk specifically for, as you said, 3 hours, but 3 rounds of 1 hour each on education only. No bridges. We're not going to talk about bailing out certain corporations. We're not going to ask you. We want to know about public education. I mean, so we've got an hour for 3 of you. And the idea, this opportunity for anybody listening or anybody who can attend to actually hear these candidates, where they are. And, of course, for me, and even though I'm biased, but I also this is the most important statewide issue you can ever vote on, is education in the state. If you don't understand where the candidates for governor are on this issue, you need to, first of all, be at this event and remind yourself that this is what we're taking this. I've heard a couple people make comments like, hey, this is just going to be some kind of softball love fest with a bunch of Democrats. I'm telling you, the people, well, anybody who knows, who's been listening to my radio show, knows I don't play favorites when it comes to public education. You're either in the public education or you're not. And so if you're going to come at me with some kind of wiggle answer, I'm not going to allow you to wiggle out. So you're going to be right there. We're going to ask some hard questions. We want to know about standards. We want to know about what you're going to do about the fact that I just said 40% of students don't want to become teachers anymore. 90% of the teacher vacancies that are occurring in the state right now are because of teachers leaving the classroom.
Dr. Tim, the bell's ringing, class dismissed. Tune in this Saturday, Educators Amplified Gubernatorial Edition, 12 to 3. It is a dynamic event moderated by our recent guest, Dr. Tim Slekar. We'll be right back. More Devil's Advocates.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated.
I went to better schools than they did. I was a better student than they were.
We need to let people know, you come into our schools, you're going to be dead.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
Hello, I'm Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters Local 200. In 1903, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters was founded, and our local union was founded in 1935 here in Milwaukee. During the last 115 years, the principles and values for the Teamsters Union have made many improvements for working families, creating a pathway to the American middle class. Teamsters have assisted families and communities in times of need. Currently, our active and retired membership are collectively working to benefit working families across this nation for retirement security and addressing long-term social needs here in Madison, Wisconsin, and in Washington, D.C. American workers do have a voice in the workplace. Let Teamsters Local 200 be part of that action plan for you. For more information, please visit us on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or give us a call at 414-771-6363. TeamstersLocal200.com or 414-771-6363.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that
cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the phone lines 844-967-2789.
And thank you to our most recent guest, Dr. Timothy Slekar, Dean, School of Education, Edgewood College, host of Busted Pencils right here on Resistance Radio every Saturday at 11.
I love that show.
But it is. It's good radio.
Yeah, it is.
But this weekend, Dr. Tim Slekar doing double duty. He will also moderate the Educators Amplified Part 4 Gubernatorial Edition. Where will our next governor stand on professional standards in licensing, testing, and standardization, vouchers and charters, teacher demoralization, school funding? Candidates challenging Scott Walker will be in attendance 12 to 3 right here on Resistance Radio. It's also live at the Miramar Theater. All our audience has homework this weekend, Dom. But this, a dynamic head-to-head format. Nothing like this has happened so far in the gubernatorial race. Hour 1, Kelda Royce, Tony Evers, and yours truly. Hour 2, we got Mike McCabe, Malin Mitchell. Damn it, who's the other one? Hour 3 is Gronik Soglin and
Dana Wachs.
No, I think... damn it. No. There's too many of them. The only one that has a conflict, my understanding, Kathleen Feinhout, a fine candidate in her own right. She will not be there. Everyone else will, head-to-head, debate style, moderated by the professional educators. And Earl Ingram Jr., let's not forget our own WRD's host. So that will be a big event. Tune in right here, 12 to 3, and stick around. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Charisse Daniels, a brand new announced candidate for Wisconsin's 37th Assembly District. That's a lot of words. We'll be right back.
Let me just say, they are a breath of fresh air.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit 59s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
You've packed the smartphones, headphones, tablets, water snacks, coolers, sunscreen, bikes, skateboards, games, videos, sunglasses.
There's no room for people in here.
Just don't wimp out on the most important thing.
Deep fried
butter on a stick. No, seatbelts. Whether it's a long haul or short trip,
It's a win-win situation.
never give up until they buckle up. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The bridge is out, and there are Scot holes everywhere. Come on. What's wrong with you? Listen to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters, and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys, because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County is in need of a new criminal courthouse to replace the old safety building, but can't afford it without significant help from the state or a private business partner. Traditional forms of funding for the county have been stretched to the limit, according to county officials. And bulldozers and other heavy equipment have started moving earth at the site of the Foxconn factory in Racine County. The work started yesterday morning with safety meetings and the delivery of portable toilets for the workers. Outside this afternoon, sunshine and then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Rain likely tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s. And for Thursday, partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
I don't know if you know the devil's advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, we're expecting a guest. I hope she honors us with her presence shortly. Charisse Daniels, a newly declared candidate, Wisconsin's 37th Assembly District. We'll look forward to meeting her on the air, hopefully soon. But in the meantime, I want to get another headline out there. Here in the state of Wisconsin, our friend Jesse Apoyan, LaTanya Johnson to replace Senator Lena Taylor on Budget Committee following employee dispute. Now, this is not something that Lena is going to give up of her own volition. She has been stripped of this honor. The JFC, the Joint Finance Committee, the Budget Committee, the highest honor a state legislator in the state of Wisconsin can be honored with. Lena Taylor not only had her problems at the local Wells Fargo branch, apparently had a run-in with one of the bankers, hardly done explaining herself on a rival radio station, and this newest headline breaks. And this one, not good. I did call her office. She, talking about Lena Taylor, did not respond to my request for interview, but I'll read from Jesse Apoyan's piece. State Senator Lena Taylor, Dem from Milwaukee, said Tuesday she was removed from the legislature's powerful Joint Finance Committee following a dispute with a former employee. Senate Minority Leader Jennifer Schilling, Dem from La Crosse, requested Taylor be removed from the committee, according to a letter from Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald. You know, he's the Republican. By Schilling's request, Senator LaTanya Johnson, a Dem from Milwaukee, will take Taylor's place on the Budget Writing Committee. My Senator, John Erpenbach, Dem from Middleton, will serve as the committee's ranking Democratic member. In a statement, Johnson said she has a proven record of working on both sides of the aisle to achieve legislative results. It is critical that all of our children have an equal opportunity to succeed, and that means fighting to rebuild and strengthen the ladders of success that lift up families and communities, Johnson said. Wisconsin's history shows us that prosperity does not trickle down. It grows out of a thriving middle class supported by family-sustaining jobs, affordable health care, a financially secure retirement, and continued investment in our children's education. Schilling praised Johnson as a strong advocate for gun safety, women's health access, and child care affordability, who will work to ensure that Wisconsin's budget reflects the values that we all share.
Taylor implied in a statement that her removal from the committee was the result of a complaint made by a disgruntled employee. Schilling said she made changes to the committee assignments after being updated on the conclusion of an investigation conducted by the Legislative Human Resources Office. Here's a quote. I appreciate the work of the professionals in the Senate Chief's Clerk's Office and the Legislative Human Resources Office to thoroughly investigate and address employee concerns. No matter the workplace, we need to protect an employee's right to bring forward concerns and ensure everyone is able to work in a safe, productive, and welcoming environment, Schilling said. According to a letter delivered to Taylor last week by Human Resources Manager Amanda Jorgensen and Senate Chief Clerk Jeffrey Rank, an investigation concluded that some allegations made by an employee last year were founded. The investigation found that Taylor had violated the Senate Policy Manual's anti-retaliation provisions as related to the Employees Family Medical Leave Act, and that she had violated the Policy Manual's anti-bullying provisions as related to the employee and other staff members. The employee also alleged that Taylor harassed the employee based on disabilities and lighter skin color and retaliated against the employee for not helping with Taylor's most recent campaign. Those allegations were unfounded, according to the investigation. Taylor was required to attend training on the legislature's anti-harassment, anti-retaliation, and anti-bullying provisions, and to attend interpersonal communication and management coaching. Both are to be started within the next 3 months. Taylor alleged that the employee was, quote, unable and in some instances unwilling to meet the requirements of the Madison-based position, and said the employee received an $80,000 taxpayer-funded no-show, no-work arrangement for nearly a year while the complaint was investigated. Here's a quote from Taylor. Despite agreeing to the recommendations that resulted from this process, I have been removed from the Joint Finance Committee by Senate Majority Leader. It is unfortunate that Milwaukee will lose an experienced, progressive, and relentless voice at a time that Milwaukee schools, city, and county needs more help from the state's Budget Committee. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported in June 2017 that over a 5-month period since the beginning of that year, more than 6 members of Taylor's staff either left her office or went on leave, or both. The previous year, an aide filed a complaint against the senator, alleging she had threatened to fire the aide's pay or cut an aide's pay over challenges with the job related to a medical condition. Taylor then criticized the aide for releasing some of her private medical insurance records. Taylor has drawn attention recently for a disorderly conduct citation she received following an altercation with a bank teller at a Wells Fargo branch in downtown Milwaukee. In an interview with Milwaukee TV station CBS 58, Taylor said she was frustrated after receiving bad customer service and said she believes her position as an elected official led police to issue the ticket. She said her behavior, which included the use of racially charged language, did not rise to the level of disorderly conduct. Taylor was first elected to the State Assembly in a 2003 special election, then elected to the State Senate in 2004. She was first appointed to the Joint Finance Committee in 2005 and briefly served as a committee co-chair in 2012.
What say you, my friend?
Of the few times I've been able to hang out and with Lena in social settings, and we see her sometimes.
We spent some time with her at the DPW.
Yeah. I love her. I think she's a wonderful person. Again, that never got really deep. It was all superficial and hanging out at the bar talking about politics. And I respect her, and I love the fact that she was such a voice for her community in the State House. But there's certain norms of behavior, certain levels of behavior that I think everyone has to attain. And no matter, as the Senate Minority Leader Schilling said, no matter what the environment, employees are employees. They have to be treated a certain way with respect. And as an elected official, and I heard Earl Ingram say it this morning on his show, you are and you should be, and you are expected to be held to a higher standard. So it's unfortunate. It bothers me. And this case with the Wells Fargo Bank and the racial slurs used, But that's not why she's being stripped of the Joint Finance Committee. No, this is an entirely separate issue. But, it's separate in the issue, but obviously their commonality is Lena Taylor and how she behaves and what her mentality is. I don't think there's any question around that. And I'm not going to get into, what's right for an African-American person to say to somebody else. But I would say this. When she used the word, House N-word, to the male bank teller who was not, I guess, following her lead and instead deferring to his boss, that isn't a term of endearment. This isn't saying, hey, my brother. This is an insult. It was meant to be biting. It was meant to be degrading. And as a member of the community, as an elected official, I don't think you go there. I think the standard has to be there. What about the Democrats and our treatment of those that offend within our party? Be it Josh Zepnick, he was stripped of his committee assignments. Be it Lena Taylor, stripped of her seat on the Joint Finance Committee, or be it on the national politics when we push Al Franken out. First sign of malfeasance, first sign of bad conduct, and the Dems throw their own overboard. Republicans embrace their own. Bill Kramer, despite a history, despite being described as a ticking time bomb by Charlie Sykes, rose through Republican leadership and became the majority leader in the Assembly before another drunken occurrence triggered Ron Johnson's staffer to call rape or at least sexual misconduct on Bill Kramer 3 years after the fact. 3 years later, when he's offended again and he faces felonies pleaded down to misdemeanors, then and only then do the Republicans react on. I think it's different how we treat our own, talking about the Dems, than the Republicans do. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm not here to sit in judgment of Lena Taylor. I've certainly crossed a few lines. Now, I've never used the N-word, and I've never, best of my knowledge, harassed an employee of mine if I felt like they had a valid claim. I don't recall
harassed
ever harassing.
Or bullied or...
Do you count in that, man?
No,
that's more of a friendship bullying. You deserve it when I bully you.
I can take it. I know what I'm signed up for. But no, if I
show co-host is a different role than subordinate, though.
Certainly, no doubt about it. And sometimes you got to wear different hats. And Curtis, you and I have been friends for 25 years. So I look at our relationship, be it as co-host or as employer. It's just a different thing that you and I.
Super cool guys.
Right on, man. But I have been in management positions. I have had staff underneath me, and I
wasn't that the problem? All the staff underneath you.
I never engaged. It was never my thing. I would never. I worked with a lot of very beautiful women in my life, and I never went there because
all the girls I've loved before.
You don't dip the ink in the company well, right? You don't crap where you eat. I think you got to leave the business as the business and the personal as the personal. Well, and that's just my own personal philosophy. Not to say that relationships in workplaces can't work out, but that's just, if you don't want to have any problems, you just don't engage. And that's the easiest thing to do.
I don't think any of these lawmakers were accused of consensual relationships gone bad. That's different. I've got two people that work for me in Madison that are dating currently, and I'm not real happy about it, but they're adults, and I haven't forbidden this relationship. Right. What am I going to do? They'll be like high school kids sneaking out past curfew. But ultimately, it does concern me if this relationship should go sour for any reason.
And that comes to the point of business and behavioral norms in the workplace.
Sure, but
I don't think that Josh Zepnick was accused of consensual relationship, sort of asking someone out, and then
he was like creepy kisser guy, right?
He was creepy kisser guy, and if you believe the news reports about Lena Taylor, apparently she harassed, perhaps bullied her staff, and I would point out she has not had a lot of continuity in staffing over there at the state capitol. Lena has been a tough employer. Look at her track record. Now, ultimately, does this punishment fit the crime? Well, she has made herself a distraction to the Democratic Party. And if they therefore, regardless of merit, choose to withdraw her from the Joint Finance Budget Committee, well, maybe that's because she made herself a hot potato. It's hard to leave her in that chair, but no one is suggesting, at least I've not heard anyone saying that Lena Taylor is not qualified to continue serving.
Right.
I'm sure there'll be some righty calling for her resignation, but I'm not doing so. And I think she is certainly a capable leader, able to serve, but she has certainly made mistakes.
But do we? I got to throw this out there.
And we as Democrats are going to throw her overboard.
But are we as middle-class white males giving her a pass on the racial term used? If Scott Walker was at the bank saying that to a teller, do you think
we would be outraged?
Call for his resignation?
No doubt, we would be outraged. But Scott Walker is not a black senator. Scott Walker is a white governor. And that doesn't seem like it should matter a lot, but I'm not here to culturally tell people what is acceptable conduct. But that is not why.
Are you kidding me? Isn't that what
but that's not why she got stripped from the Joint Finance Committee.
I'm not suggesting that. But
that's employee relationship stuff that got her pulled off that very senior committee posting.
Do you think the mentality though is the same? I mean, this seems to be the issue.
Sort of a self-entitlement mentality,
perhaps.
Well, I look in the mirror sometimes.
Well, we all got our battles to face. And again, we did invite Senator Taylor to come on today and talk about it, and perhaps her staff will reach out. She's always welcome to join us on the show.
She had
anytime.
fill-in staff today. I'm not sure what's going on in her office, but it was like the sergeant of arms answering the phone at her office saying, we will share this with Senator Taylor's staffers. So it's not the usual process over at the state capitol. Now, what that's reflective of, I don't know. Maybe they're having a little in-service, a little training. I'm not clear, Dom, but I just think it's worth noting, one more time, I'm going to say it again, Democrats treat their own differently. And I think it's appropriate that perhaps she was stripped of this position. You cannot put yourself in these series, these subsequent events, and hope to retain this leadership position within the party. Yeah, there will be a price to pay. But I certainly hope that she sticks around in the state Senate. We need her there. And we are the Devil's Advocates. Phone line suddenly filling up. I guess you've got an opinion. I'd like to hear from you. 844-967-2789.
Got into a topic that I shouldn't have.
There's no word like that.
I'm sorry that disgusts you.
I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
And I screwed up.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
For too long now, Wisconsin's education policy seems to have had that the teacher had to step out for a minute vibe. Educators Amplified is back in session this Saturday. Join us for Educators Amplified, the gubernatorial edition. Where will our next governor stand on teacher demoralization, standardized testing, vouchers and charters, standards and licensing? These questions will be answered this Saturday from noon to 3 at the Miramar Theater. Come join us live, 2884 North Oakland Ave, or listen right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio. Educators Amplified, Gubernatorial Edition, brought to you by Busted Pencils Radio, The Earl Ingram Show, Schools and Communities United, WEAC Region 7, Citizens Action, AFT Local 212. So if you're tired of education in this state having that the teacher will be back in a minute vibe, take action this Saturday. Educators Amplified, right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that failed facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go online at domandcroot.com. You can download or listen to interviews and podcasts.
Dominic, we've got an eagerly anticipated guest. She is Charisse Daniels. She is a newly announced candidate for Wisconsin's 37th Assembly District. Easy for me to say. Charisse, welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Good evening. Hello.
Hey there.
Well, Charisse, you're kind of getting in this race a little bit late. You've only got a couple weeks to collect signatures. Not a daunting task. 200 the minimum you'll need to qualify for the ballot, 400 permissible. Why are you jumping in this late, Charisse?
I think it took a little bit for me to realize that this is exactly what I wanted to be doing. I actually was a part of a huge class of women in Emerge, Wisconsin, an amazing organization that trains Democratic women to run for office. And I did that about a year ago after the election and knew that I wanted to run for something, but wasn't sure what that would be. And I've been an advocate for well over maybe a decade now, and thinking about children and families and going to the Capitol and trying to bring lived experience to legislators so they would understand real-life struggles that people are going through was a challenge, because it depends on who's in that seat. And then I realized that's it. It's the person that's sitting in the seat. And yes, all those lived experiences really matter. but it also matters about who we're talking to. And I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be the champion of families and children of Wisconsin. And so this is why I'm getting into the race. I know it's a little bit late in the game, but I don't feel like that is a hindrance at all, that we have got still a wonderful lead. We just announced we're coming off of almost 24 hours into my launch of my campaign, and the response has been amazing.
Now, Charisse Daniels, you're going in the Fighting 37th. That's currently the seat held by John Jagler. Why are you chasing the dragon, as Jagler might say?
I'm doing it because as a mom in this area and someone who lives and works in Watertown, that's not something that deters me. I'm not afraid of jumping in and rolling up my sleeves and getting a little dirty. Like, I really feel like this is something we need to be doing. And, if he's been very inactive. And so I could say, I'm not going to jump in this race. I'm not going to get into this because it's going to be hard and it's going to be tough. But the realistic part of that is, if I don't, what are the repercussions if I'm not in the fight? And if I don't have a seat at the table, then I'm on the menu, right? So for me, that makes more sense, to jump in this race and to do what needs to be done so that I can be the one sitting there and I can also be the one taking the action, instead of having a representative who either does little or, when he is willing to do things for families, they've actually been things that have hurt the families in this area. And so I'm tired of that, and I'm ready for something different. So it's time for positive change, and that is me.
Charisse, tell us about your professional resume. What qualifies you to serve this state?
Yeah, so I've been in Wisconsin for about 8 years now, and this entire 8 years, and before that I've been in education, working with children 0 to 5, and seeing some of the effects and things that families go through. So I work directly with families, helping them get connected to resources in the community. And as you're well aware, the resources that families are trying to access are not readily available, and usually there's a lot of hoops and hurdles to that. And most recently, when Walker rolled out this welfare reform, there's been a lot of really terrible stigma attached to families who are really struggling. And so that's, part of my resume for that is my advocacy work. And so I've been doing that and trying to bring a lived experience on different statewide advisories and councils. So I've been doing that work. And then I also work as a lead outreach specialist with a organization, a nonprofit in Dane County, reaching out to homeless on the street. And so I literally am bringing the resources to them and hearing all their stories and hearing all the stories of the families that I serve. That in and of itself is a resume that I don't think that a lot of legislators have, that they're not connected to the community in that way, especially the majority right now. I don't know that they know what some of these struggles are. And so even just that, having that experience of listening to people and really having the boots on the ground, and really listening and being active and knowing what the problems are and what those root causes are. And we need to stop, just treating the cause. We really need to get down to the root. And so that is my resume, and that's what I bring to the table.
Charisse, how do people get involved in your campaign? Give them the website.
Yes. So if you're looking to get involved, we need volunteers. We're going to need those boots on the ground. We're going to need donations. You can go to Charisse. That's CHARISSE 4, and that's spelled out FOR, Wisconsin, and that's .com. And you can go to my website and check out some of the other issues I'm super passionate about, like public safety. Obviously, I've said education, but women's.
Charisse, sorry to cut you short. We'll catch up after you qualify for the ballot.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi, folks. This is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet-friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009. Or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm Mike Crute. Once elected governor of the great state of Wisconsin, I intend to legalize marijuana. Legalization will create $200 million in new annual tax revenues to be applied to opioid treatment and tech school education. Medical professionals like Dr. Sanjay Gupta say marijuana legalization would reduce opioid overdoses and help treat addicts, help move Wisconsin forward with legalization, taxation, and regulation. Good people do smoke marijuana. Paid for by Crute for Wisconsin. Find us at cruteforwisconsin.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Iranian-packed primary day. I'm Ann Cates. President Trump is withdrawing the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal.
The president never said Iran was in violation of the nuclear agreement, but made it sound as if it helped them move forward with their ambitions.
In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
He wants to again implement sanctions on Iran, unsure if the other nations involved in the agreement will do likewise. French President Macron tweeted regrets on behalf of his country, Germany, and Great Britain. Bob Costantini, the White House.
Voters in 4 states are going to the polls today. In West Virginia, there is a 3-way Republican race for the Senate. One of the candidates is Don Blankenship, a former coal executive who went to prison for violating mine safety standards. There are also primaries in Ohio, Indiana, and North Carolina. Relative calm on Hawaii's Big Island after dealing with a volcanic eruption, oozing lava, dangerous gases, and hundreds of earthquakes.
No lava has flowed from the fissures since yesterday, which, while is some good news, volcanologist Janet Babb with the Hawaii Volcano Observatory says,
"This is not over."
She says that because the rift zone is still inflated. There's still a lot of magma moving around under the earth, and it will likely try to break through the surface again, which is why Puna Mayor Harry Kim assures frustrated evacuated residents,
"Every decision we make is to keep you safe and go through this very bad time as best as possible. We commit that to you."
Roughly 3 dozen structures have been destroyed, more than 2 dozen of those homes. I'm Jim Roop.
Wall Street closed around the flat line today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by 3 points. The S&P 500 down 1. The NASDAQ up 2. I'm Ann Cates.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
More Americans say they're thinking of buying an electric car for their next new vehicle.
A survey conducted by AAA found that 1 in 5 people now say they'd like to go electric for their next car buy. The biggest reason, about 80% say they care about the environment, and about 2/3 say lower operating costs is a draw. The survey suggests a huge jump in demand for electric cars, but an analyst with Kelley Blue Book notes there's a difference between answering a poll and actually spending tens of thousands of dollars on a new electric vehicle. Even so, the survey indicates more consumers are at least giving it some serious consideration. I'm Jan Johnson.
Your dream of riding in a flying car may be one step closer to reality. Uber and NASA announced today they're teaming up to develop a fleet of flying taxis for urban areas. Both hope commercial flying car trips will be available starting in 2023. I'm Ann Cates.
Hello, friends. Tom Malanzi here from Teamsters Local 200. Here's a fact. United States Labor Department statistics show union workers receive, on average, 30% more in pay and benefits than non-union workers doing the same job. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic. I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're 3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County is in need of a new criminal courthouse to replace the old safety building, but can't afford it without significant help from the state or a private business partner. Traditional forms of funding for the county have been stretched to the limit, according to county officials. And bulldozers and other heavy equipment have started moving earth at the site of the Foxconn factory in Racine County. The work started yesterday morning with safety meetings and the delivery of portable toilets for the workers. Outside this afternoon, sunshine and then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Rain likely tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s. And for Thursday, partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We are sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour. Thank you to our most recent guest, Charisse Daniels, a fine candidate, Wisconsin's 37th Assembly District. And Dominic, we welcome a new guest right now, Joel Peterson, owner of Priceland Hemp, located right here in the great state of Wisconsin, the first hemp store in our state. Joel, welcome to the show.
How are you doing today?
Hey, good, Joel. Thanks for joining us.
Well, sir, I understand you had a happy grand opening on 4/20, April 20th, and then things have taken a turn for the worse here at the hands of the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin and a advisory statement made by the DOJ. Joel, they're trying to, put you out of business, sir?
Well, I think basically what it boils down to is they don't understand the laws and what the Wisconsin Act 100, the Senate Bill 119, what it all includes and what it's limited to. I think once some of these laws catch up, then they'll probably realize that they, as an attorney general, they can add guidance, but they can't dictate or write the law. And I think that any attorney can view that as basically their anticipation of what they want the hemp bill to include.
Joel, let's talk about what your products are. You're not selling legal marijuana there in Black River Falls. What products do you sell, sir?
We sell hemp-derived, we call it hemp oil, just for the legal terms. And I think the whole swarming issue of the CBD term, which Big Pharma for many, many years has wanted to label this stuff to basically keep it away from the people.
And it is specifically this derivative of the hemp plant, the CBD, the cannabinoid oil, that is at question. This is what the DOJ is offering guidance on. Now, if it had THC, Joel, it might get you high. And that's the confusion and contest of the Attorney General. He doesn't want people selling this stuff containing THC. But it seems to me like he's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Hemp-produced CBD oil effectively contains so little or absolutely no THC. It doesn't make you high. It might make your pain go away. It might help you with seizures, but it doesn't make you high. Is this the sort of lack of knowledge with our Attorney General you referenced, Joel?
Well, what it boils down to is, it's just education, and Wisconsin is so behind. When you look at all the other states that our motherland, Colorado, they're the pioneers. I mean, they went out and put their neck out there, and just like we're doing right now, we're putting our neck out there to say, hey, look, we know that the federal law still says it's illegal to possess and to sell, but the pilot program allows us to import, export, sell, process. I mean, it's all in the 119 bill. It clearly states what we can do.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Joel Peterson, owner of Priceland Hemp here in the state of Wisconsin, the first hemp store that opened up under the new laws, joins us on the phone. Joel, I want to talk a little bit about the business end of it. What kind of investment, what kind of planning, what kind of time and energy did it take to embark on this new endeavor?
Well, I guess since working in the marijuana industry in Colorado 5 years ago, we worked with few dispensaries. We actually made history with a couple, I can't say the names, but when they went full rec, and we worked with several growers growing marijuana. So that's once I knew that Wisconsin was passing the hemp program, we actually relocated back to Wisconsin for where I grew up and where I was raised, and where we actually had farmland, and we did milking cows and stuff. So I like farming, and so that's what brought me back here to Wisconsin to basically help other people grow, and that's the most important part, is nobody knows how to do it here. So you either have to learn on your own or have somebody that can help you.
So, Joe, was it in your business plan to grow your own crops and then process those crops into the final products, basically an A to Z effort?
100%. I mean, we had anticipations. We purchased a 7,000 square foot building. We're all set up. We're waiting for machines, and I've been putting fires out for a whole week now because investors are trying to pull their money out of Wisconsin, and it's not a little bit of investment, because most processing facilities are several million if you're a state-of-the-art processing center.
And I want to ask a specific question here regarding the hemp oil and CBD. Is hemp oil, is that CBD, or is hemp oil and CBD two separate products?
So if you buy bulk hemp oil, that's basically pressed out of the seed, and that's the hemp oil. When people, because of the CBD term, like I mentioned with Big Pharma, they've tried putting a name on it to keep control of it, and since the DEA listed as a Schedule 1, it's on there with methamphetamine, heroin. It's considered a dangerous drug. So that's part of the Attorney General's argument, is they're basing it off of what the DEA views it as a Schedule 1. So with that whole stigma, people they have to learn, what it is.
So, Joel, have you had, my understanding is you did receive a letter from Attorney General Schimmel. Have you had conversations with the Wisconsin government? Have you retained an attorney? Where do you stand in your process to keep your doors open?
So basically, we've remained open, and we've been working with Senator Tesson's office. We're trying to work with whoever can push through what we believe Wisconsin's hemp program should include. And if you have the lawmakers behind you, I think it's a little easier at the end of the day to rest when you have other people saying you shouldn't be doing it. And of course, what it is there's other people. Hemp is a huge disruptor when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
If you look at everything hemp can replace, even down to the medical parts of CBD, I mean, it's so huge that once hemp catches up, I think, it'll be, marijuana's up there, but I think hemp's going to be right up there too because of all the building materials, oils, there's just endless textiles, nets, ropes. I can go on and on about all the different products that come from hemp.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Got a fine guest live via phone, Joel Peterson, owner of Priceland Hemp, a brand new shop opened just a few weeks ago in Black River Falls, Wisconsin. A unique store, a great grand opening. Lots of people lined up to buy the hemp products, and then the DOJ stepped in. Well, Joel, I guess I'd ask you, the Menominee Indian tribe in the state of Wisconsin tried a similar thing. Federal authorities gave the tribal nations permission to grow hemp. And my understanding, Brad Schimmel and the Wisconsin DOJ went in and basically took their hemp. Do you see any analogies to be drawn in the plight of the Menominee tribe and your own, Joel?
Well, I think the most important part is, the Menominee people, they run on their own laws and they recognize their own, laws. And I think, in the federal sense, if they had permission to do what they're doing, I mean, they have a huge lawsuit against the state. And, I don't know what the legal recourse is, but I can only imagine there's many, many millions because of if you shut down an operation like that, that's, like our laboratory produces between 10 and 15 million a year. So, once we get our own processing facility here in Wisconsin, I mean, we could get there. It's not going to be here the first year because obviously we don't have, all of the money to put up a huge facility like that. But, I mean, we'll get there, and that's the most important part, with the Attorney General and their misconception of the law and, what the hemp pilot program includes.
Joel, it was mentioned to us immediately before joining us on the air, you got off the phone with the government. Who were you speaking to and how'd that conversation go?
Well, I can't really say exactly who it was, and I just would like to protect that. But basically what the person reiterated is the guidance that was, put out by the Attorney General, and which we understand all that. So, like I said, it's been an educational process, and we've sat down with these officials and basically pointed out, we're, number one, exempt from prosecution under the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. So the Act creates a safe harbor protection for any person acting in accordance with that CAP rules pertaining to industrial hemp. So such persons are exempt from criminal prosecution under the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. And it clearly states that everything we're able to do, planting, growing, cultivating, harvesting, processing, and transporting hemp, selling, transferring, importing, exporting, and taking possession of industrial hemp. We have the Fit for Commerce, we have the chain of command, we have all the information from Colorado that we can even take the people right to where the plots where the stuff is growing. So, I mean, we're following all the rules as if we were selling in a dispensary. And that's what we're recognizing and as, part of the laws and what we're able to do. And now if we didn't have that proof of where the stuff come from, I think it would be a little better argument on the state's part because we could be importing marijuana or we could be processing marijuana. But we have all of the information that provides, the proof. So, I mean, we have a strong defense.
Now, Joel, I would advocate for full legalization of recreational marijuana, regulation, taxation. Setting that aside for the now, what about medical marijuana? CBD oil can be a lifesaver in the treatment of people with seizure conditions. We spoke with medical professionals recently, like Sanjay Gupta, who says this substance, cannabis, could be the thing that helps us overcome the opioid addiction, not just here in the state of Wisconsin, but nationwide. It is proven to reduce pain. It is something that reduces the withdrawal symptoms from opioids, something that physiologically can heal the brain of addicts. I mean, I'm not saying it's a wonder drug, but it's certainly a wonder to me why Republicans would vilify this otherwise innocuous plant that grows in the earth. Joel, what's your stance above and beyond hemp? What's your stance on marijuana, sir?
Well, in working with marijuana, I have several partners in Colorado that right now they're doing a major clinical study with CBD, CBC, and CBG. They have Alzheimer's studies they're working on. And what I've seen personally with THC and used in a medical sense, because, don't get me wrong, I think everybody should be able to have a choice. But the biggest hurdle I think that Colorado has is the recreational part. It needs to be a little more census. So if I come into a dispensary, someone can help me if I have anxiety or if I have, a certain disorder. And with the recreation, it's a little less census, so you don't get quite the care that you would get with medical. So, I think that rec is good, but I think Wisconsin needs to first get medical and, learn from it and then go from there.
Joel, last 30 seconds, I got to ask you, do you think that we will see legalization without some change in the politics in the state of Wisconsin?
I think that this is election year, and it's really important for candidates. It's going to be a major factor in who is elected.
Joel Peterson, owner of Priceland Hemp, thank you so much for joining us today. We are sorry for your trouble, sir. If we can be a resource to you at all, please call on the Devil's Advocates.
Yeah, well, we're doing it for the people. It's not even about the money. It's for what the people want.
Joel, share that sentiment. Thank you so much. We are the Devil's Advocates. Your call's welcome on the other side. 844-967-2789.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
We are the People for People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, P4PPC.org.
For too long now, Wisconsin's education policy seems to have had that the teacher had to step out for a minute vibe. Educators Amplified is back in session this Saturday. Join us for Educators Amplified, the gubernatorial edition. Where will our next governor stand on teacher demoralization, standardized testing, vouchers and charters, standards and licensing? These questions will be answered this Saturday from noon to 3 at the Miramar Theater. Come join us live, 2884 North Oakland Ave, or listen right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio. Educators Amplified, Gubernatorial Edition, brought to you by Busted Pencils Radio, The Earl Ingram Show, Schools and Communities United, WEAC Region 7, Citizens Action, AFT Local 212. So if you're tired of education in this state having that the teacher will be back in a minute vibe, take action this Saturday. Educators Amplified, right here on 1510 AM Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Come on, you super freak. You don't even remember if it's your get back or not.
What time is it?
Want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Joel Peterson, owner of Priceland Hemp, Black River Falls, Wisconsin, the first Wisconsinite to open up a hemp store, and the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin sticking it to Joel. And it's the state law, Schimmel. Read the law, Schimmel.
It seems
you
that
moron, Schimmel.
Joel was basically saying that they didn't read it right. It's kind of what my takeaway from the legal part of that conversation was.
You know, basically, he is just in lockstep with Scott Walker. And even Walker, in response to this, told Channel 3000 online, well, we're going to have to go back and revisit this. No, you don't. You've got a law in the books. You signed it. Schimmel doesn't understand it. But this is a legal substance in the state of Wisconsin. And hemp, my understanding, hemp also allowed federally. Just go ask Cocaine Mitch McConnell.
844-967-2789. Ignacio, you are up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got for us today?
Hey, gentlemen. I thought our president was supposed to be some kind of negotiator. I didn't realize he just tears stuff up. You know, today he backed out of the deal that we had got into with other countries, not alone. We went in with other countries to do the Iran deal. Okay, let's say it was a bad deal. I get it. But are you supposed to be this great negotiator? Didn't you write the book, The Art of the Deal? Where's the frickin' deal? I don't see no deal.
Well, Ignacio, perhaps this is just...
no deals on the TPP.
It's just posturing, perhaps. You know, this is just, step 2. Step 3.
It's a negotiating ploy.
Tell that to the people that get hurt by this.
Yeah, right.
And let me tell you something. That kind of negotiation is a bully. Okay, on your block, did you ever have a kid that used to try to take your lunch? What did he tell you? If you tell your mother, I'm going to beat you senseless. Didn't he tell you that? That's what they always used to say, the bullies, right? And
that's what Brian tells Dom every day when he takes his lunch.
Shame on you guys. But, I mean, I'm tired of this guy. He's like a buffoon. He is not a negotiator. He's not a businessman. He's supposed to be a businessman making deals, dealing, changing things. You renegotiate.
Well, let me tell you a sweet deal I just read about on the Chiron. Ignacio, a Russian oligarch, gave $500,000 to Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen.
According to Avenatti.
According to Stormy Daniels' attorney. But that would be a great deal because While breaking campaign finance laws, he was using the money of a foreign oligarch, not his own money. What a great deal. First his lawyer paid, then the Russians did. I wish I'm happily married, but I wish I could have porn star mistresses and have attorneys and Russian oligarchs pay the hush money. That would be a hell of a deal. Come back with us, Spencer Black, columnist, former Assembly Dem leader, friend of ours. It'll be a hell of a deal. Come back with us.
You start with the default position that, yes, you will enforce the laws.
The irony is a little rich here
Do
these
you
days.
own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Do, re, mi. The first three notes just happen to
Terrible.
So when need to pulling down.
I can see listeners dropping off. Let's get some callers before we lose everybody. Betsy from Madison, you're up.
That will bring us back to do.
Terrible.
Hey, at least we didn't do Edelweiss.
Hi, everybody. Did you know that Scott Walker spelled backwards is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network? I know, I was amazed too.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, I work hard to be a leader in my industry, and I know the challenges posed by changing technology. It's my priority to make sure your network is up over 99% of the time. There's no question, trying to manage your own business IT is risky, costly, and time-consuming. Don't let IT overwhelm you. Learn more about Five Nines at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. For the first time in the history of the NBA, a female coach will interview for a head coaching position. Becky Hammon, who is currently an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs, will visit Milwaukee this week to interview for the head coaching position with the Milwaukee Bucks. Hammon played for the WNBA for 16 years. She was the first full-time female assistant coach in one of the 4 major American professional sports leagues when she joined the Spurs in 2014. And the Indians are in town tonight to start a 2-game interleague series with the Brewers at Miller Park. Outside this afternoon, sunshine, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Rain likely tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s. And for Thursday, partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. The happy hour gets a little happier. Got another fine guest. Joins us right now live via phone. He is Spencer Black, a columnist with the Cap Times, a former Dem Assembly leader. Spencer, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Well, good afternoon. Good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer.
That walk-up music has your name right in it, Spencer.
There you go.
Hey, let's talk fake news in the era of Donald Trump. Of course, we know about Sinclair Broadcasting, soon to be this, Fox News rivaling national, independently owned television network that'll be in 70% of plus American households. You can't have fake news without a friendly press to go to. You use the example in your most recent column of Pravda, which means truth, but really means anything but truth. Do you think we got a little Pravda going on between the Fox News, the Sinclair, and let's not forget, Righty Whitey Talk Radio right here in Milwaukee, Spencer?
Well, Pravda was Joseph Stalin's newspaper. And Russian, it's the Russian word for truth. Of course, it was anything but the truth. And, dictators hate a free press. The first thing a dictator will do is smash the presses of the independent press, shut down TV and radio stations, and take over the media. Here in the United States, things are done a little more subtly. But we're seeing an attack on an independent media on multiple fronts. You mentioned a couple of them. One is to hand over more and more of our broadcast airwaves, our local news stations, to Sinclair Broadcasting, which is a right-wing outlet. But also the Trump administration has been trying to harass independent newspapers and stations. And the Trump's allies have been buying up media and converting them from independent newspapers to ones that just echo the party line. So it's a multi-front war on the free and independent press. And, of course, Donald Trump himself has been trying to discredit an independent press. People who are authoritarian or would be authoritarian like Trump hate a free press. They hate honest reporting of facts because they want to control all the information that people see.
Well, Spencer, let's talk about the fairness doctrine for just a minute. Ronald Reagan helped roll back the fairness doctrine, basically that you must give equal time on the issues. Well, there's not a lot of equal time going on. I know that Fox claims they're fair and balanced, but I don't see many Dems going to Fox News. I don't see a lot of Republicans, although I think probably a higher percentage, going to MSNBC. Is it a fair criticism? Let me see if I can state this precisely. Spencer, is it a fair criticism to say that we've all gone to our respective silos for information?
Well, I think that's true, is that, and some of that is with more media outlets through the internet and through cable. People can get the news that they want to hear and that reinforces their opinion or their prejudices. But we're also seeing with the Trump administration an attempt to first of all attack some news sources that have been considered neutral. I mean, MSNBC clearly has a point of view, a progressive point of view. Some outlets like Fox, despite being claiming they're fair and balanced or anything but, they're right wing. But we've had some outlets that have been respected for their journalistic integrity, for their independence, like the Washington Post, like CNN, and these are exactly the information sources that Trump is using the government, the federal government, to try to undermine and harass.
Well, Spencer, I wouldn't exempt Scott Walker from the next criticism, but Donald Trump also effectively only goes to friendly media outlets like Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or the Foxy Friends. Scott Walker, of course, prefers, right-wing talk radio here in the state of Wisconsin. But when you go to these outlets, it seems like you're facing the public. It seems like you're answering the questions. But, of course, there's no pointed questions. There's no follow-up. There's no bite to those interviews. Does it bother you, Spencer, as much as it bothers me that guys like Trump, guys like Scott Walker can effectively go running into the arms of friendly media and never have to face any sort of real journalistic integrity or questions?
Hey, you know, where I grew up, we called guys like that wimps because they can't face a fastball. They can only take on softballs. So they only want softballs. And these guys, especially Trump, but also to some extent Walker, but especially Trump, they lie through their teeth. I mean, you know, Trump has lied, and it's been documented by reports over 3,000 times in the relatively short time he's been in office. A real media, a real journalists would call him on that. If he says something that's blatantly false, they would call him on it. Someone like Sean Hannity rolls over and says, oh, that's great, and just reinforces any lie he wants to say. So, yeah, these guys are wimps because they're unwilling to face, you know, Trump hasn't had a press conference, I don't think, since he's been in office, or if he hasn't had one for a long time. So they're unlike President Obama or even President Bush. He's unwilling to man up and face the tough questions and be called on it if he distorts the facts. He just wants softballs.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Spencer Black, he's a columnist and a former Assembly Democratic leader. He joins us on the phone. Spencer, the U.S. has dropped to 45th amongst the nations of the world for our free press. Why?
Well, this was a ranking from a highly respected international organization that monitors press freedom, and it's largely since Donald Trump has taken over for just the reasons we're talking about. The fact that the leader of our country, who should be a defender of the First Amendment, attacks the press. He even calls it the enemy of the people. That's a term, incidentally, that Joseph Stalin used to use a lot. Mr. Pravda. So he calls it press. He attacks it. In some cases, he even incited violence against journalists. And as I say, he's using the power of the federal government to try to undermine companies that have an independent press. When it comes to CNN, his Justice Department is trying to force a spin-off of CNN and to subjugate it, sort of turn it into another Fox News. When it comes to the Washington Post, he's attacking the business of its owner, Jeff Bezos. And then, of course, he's using the government to promote those outlets he likes. When it comes to Sinclair, he's totally bending the rules. We've had a rule in place for a long time, not even bending, violating the rule against undue concentration of our broadcast airwaves, which belong to everyone, they're public, in the hands of a few. And Sinclair already owns more local stations than anybody else. And they are limited. They're up against their limit in terms of concentration of ownership. But the Trump administration is violating the rules to allow Sinclair to acquire Tribune Media, which would give it control over 70% of local stations, or the market for local stations in the country.
Spencer, what do you suggest? What, as a media guy, and I'm not, certainly over here we're not CNN or the Washington Post, but what should
we're both wrapped into one.
What should the Fourth Estate? What should those who care about the First Amendment and freedom of the press? How should we react to this constant drumbeat from Trump and his supporters about fake news and about, lies from the media, the lying media, lying CNN, all those kinds of terms? I try to take things pretty lightly, but it's starting to really, wear on me a bit. What should the proper response from journalists and the Fourth Estate be in times like this?
Well, first thing is to realize they're under attack. That the very notion of a free press is under attack. One commentator recently said something that I think is very prescient. Post-truth is pre-fascism. And what we've seen is a full-scale war on the truth. And so I think the journalists have to do their job, which is to report the truth. And that often means calling out Trump whenever he lies. Not, there used to be this thing called false equivalency, where one person says one thing and someone else says something, and you just kind of report it as, a conflict. But if someone is lying, they're just totally lying, saying things that are not factually true, then the headline should read, Trump lies about this or that, if that's the case. Some of the journalists have started doing that, which is really kind of goes against their grain, but they're realizing that they're in a fight, not just for their lives, but for the life of a free press in this country and for an honest society. But I think journalists have to, it's not being opinionated, they just have to report the truth and not act as if someone like Kellyanne Conway or Sarah Huckabee Sanders are legitimate players. Their job, they get up there and they lie every day. They have no concern for the truth, and when they lie, they have to be called on it.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocate. Scott Spencer Black, a fine columnist with the Cap Times, a former Wisconsin Assembly Dem leader right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Spencer, got to ask you, how complicit was the media in the rise of Donald Trump? I mean, when you play a campaign rally on CNN for an hour and a half and there's no pushback, it's basically unfiltered Donald Trump. How complicit do you think the media was in the rise of this man?
Well, they are complicit. You know, that at that media dinner they have in Washington, the columnist Michelle Wolf, you know, I don't agree with everything she said, but she hit it right on the head. You know, these guys made their own bed because they did cover Trump. I mean, he was good TV. He bolstered their ratings, and they covered him almost unfiltered, and they dealt with him, as we were talking about, with this false equivalency. Like he would say something and they would report it as if it was legitimate. They didn't call him on it. They've started doing that more recently, and good for that. But it's, you know, the horse is already out of the barn door. They should have been doing this during the campaign. He was lying through his teeth, left, right, and center, and they were just giving him all sorts of attention. I remember that Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, which is supposedly the leftist channel, he would allow Trump to call in rather than being on camera or in person, which is a tremendous benefit for someone to do as opposed to being face-to-face in an interview. And they would allow him to do this all the time, and they would treat him as if he was, because he was good for their ratings, they would treat him with kid gloves. Now they're regretting it. I think they're regretting it big time. But as I say, it's a little late for that.
How do we put the genie back in the bottle? I mean, Donald Trump, you know, I pray to God this is a unique time in American history. There will be a time post-Trump, one would hope, Spencer. And I'd like to think that the media will go back to, you know, reporting mostly the facts, correcting the record when they get it wrong. But how do you put the genie back in the bottle? How do we go back where the mainstream media has credibility broadly and not just in certain silos?
Well, you know, that's a tough one, and I don't know if I have the answer because, you know, my experience in politics is whenever someone does something or a party does something that is considered improper but it proves to be advantageous, everybody else does it down the road. And what I think the message right now is that you can basically be in politics and lie with impunity and get away with it because no one's going to call you on it, and you can just attack your opponents and claim that they're biased. So I think it's going to be very hard to put this genie back in the bottle. And it may have to get, sometimes these things have to, unfortunately, get so bad that there's a public revulsion. We'll see if, I don't think we're there yet, unfortunately, but we may be getting there. But, you know, there's such a, I mean, an example is Robert Mueller. Here's a guy who was, you know, a Republican, a war hero, led the FBI fighting terrorism for 10 years under a Republican president and a Democratic president, considered an absolute, you know, star. And all of a sudden, because he's doing his job in investigating, he is just getting attacked left, right, and center on the media. And it's an example of what a biased media can do. They can tear down anybody who dares to speak up. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to return ourselves to respect for a non-biased source, and perhaps we'll just have to get people have to get so disgusted that they will be looking for it. But it may be a while down the road. I'm sorry to say that.
Spencer, I guess here's my last question. It's a little self-serving. I guess my attitude, sir, is if you can't beat them, join them. Right-wing talk radio has pretty much ruled the roost here in the state of Wisconsin. I only need to look at the presidential primary where Ted Cruz won by double digits. And then the righty-whitey talkers told everyone to come home for Trump, and now Trump won Wisconsin, and ergo is our president. Well, I put forth this little left-wing alternative radio outlet, and Spencer, to hear the righties bemoan my efforts, do you think turnabout is fair play? Anything we do over here on the left, are we not only just answering the less than independent media sources of the right? And hell, we try to lead with the facts around here, Spencer, which would be a novel concept on right-wing talk radio.
Well, I think you got it perfectly right. Absolutely right. Is you have to fight back. You know, as I said, where I grew up, someone threw a punch at you, you threw a punch back, and you tried to make it a little bit harder than what was thrown at you. And I think outlets like you're doing, and I applaud what you're doing, are absolutely essential. That's why I take the time to write my column and appear on radio shows and things like that. I think those things are essential. We have to have a progressive media. But as you say, we have an advantage. When they want to make their point, they have to lie. When we want to make our point, we just have to tell the truth. But we shouldn't shy away from it. The fact that we're telling the truth doesn't mean we have to do it softly. We should do it strong. We should not hesitate to say it over and over again. That's one thing the right does very well. They will repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And unfortunately, or fortunately or unfortunately, that works. The repetition works. And we on the left have to not be shy about saying the same thing. We don't always have to try to say it more originally. But we have to do is be comfortable repeating the same points again and again and again, just like the right wing does, because it takes a long time till those things sink through. But they've gotten very good at it. Look at what they've done with the Mueller probe, just repeating lies about it all in all, but eventually those lies have an effect.
Well, Spencer, I only look at the John Doe 2 right here in the state of Wisconsin. Our governor should be in jail, to my opinion, sir. Thank you so much, Spencer Black, columnist, former Assembly Dem leader in the state of Wisconsin. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
If you want, we can leave the press, or we can have the press leave immediately. I'll leave that up to Scott Walker.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
My good friend, Governor Scott Walker.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%. The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, now is the time. 844-967-2789.
Thank you to our most recent guest, Spencer Black, a columnist, a former Assembly Dem leader in the state of Wisconsin. One of the many fine guests, but your call's welcome, especially if your name's Wisco Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Hey, I'm doing okay. Great show today, Devils.
Thanks, man.
We were going to put you down for a grade either way, Paul.
Well, it's nice to have, which I call that, left of center radio. It's really great having that. Hey, I am told today that the GOP has $1 million to spend in the 42nd Assembly District race in the fall. Now, $1 million, that's a lot of money to spend in an assembly race. Am I correct in that?
That's a hell of a lot of money. Yeah. I think 100,000 came in against Mandy Wright last minute. Mandy Wright lost her race in northern Wisconsin for the assembly once upon a time, I think by 84 votes. 100,000 in that race seemed like a hell of a lot of money. $1 million for an abbreviated special election. I mean, literally, the Republicans could buy every radio ad in the 42nd, including WTTN 1580. It's cheap to buy radio. I guess I'd say that, Paul.
Ann Groves Lloyd is the Democratic candidate for the Wisconsin 42nd.
Well, Ann, I hope, has some resources behind her as well. Paul, thanks for the call. Thanks to all our fine guests today. What a plethora.
A plethora indeed.
Would you say we had a plethora of fine guests, El Guapo? Thank you, Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now, Dr. Timothy Slekar, Dean, School of Education at Edgewood College. He, of course, the host of Busted Pencils, 11 to 12 on Saturdays. This weekend, Educators Amplified, the big gubernatorial debate edition. 3 hours, 3 debates, 9 candidates. It's going to be stellar. You better tune in right here on Resistance Radio. Charisse Daniels, a newly announced Dem candidate in Wisconsin's 37th. Joel Peterson, a brave owner of Priceland Hemp. He's under attack from the Wisconsin AG. And Spencer Black, thank you once again, columnist from the Cap Times, a friend of ours. Woo! It was another great show. Just take Wisco Paul's word for it. You better listen every day because they're all great and they just get better each and every day. See you tomorrow on the radio. It's Hump Day. We'll do some humping around here.
sign on with the devil.
The only election I've ever won was Milwaukee's Best Local Entrepreneur 2017. I'm not your typical politician, but I'd like to be the next governor